Part 6. I'm just being paid to be on a dating show, why do you choose me? Author, Ching-Jo Mi Se. Chapter 51. Su Yuen pouted. She thought it was not a big deal. She cooked with Sister Mo in the evening. But going home was a little special. What if Sister Mo met Chen Shen's family? She wouldn't come back, would she? Also, when playing cards, Zhou Gaikan was always sarcastic, saying that he envied Sister Mo's co-pilot. Plus, Xiaoqing said these things again when she came back. Su Yuen felt a little uncomfortable. Zhou Gaikan, it's already happening. People who can't cook can get up early every day to cook noodles. You haven't seen that scene. It's amazing. Su Yuen put down the cards, said nothing, and went upstairs. Xiaoqing looked at Zhou Gaikan. Okay, boys in Yuzhou have to be proactive like this. Fang also opened his mouth several times, trying to explain. Chen Shen got up early, Fang knew this, and he even called me to get up. But what if Xiaoqing asked, why did he call you to get up? Could it be that Chen Shen wanted to create an opportunity for himself and Su Mo? Therefore, Fang also held back and remembered Zhou Gaikan in his heart. This guy couldn't chase Yuen himself, so he messed with others. He was really bad. When Xiaoqing I said this, others could understand. She came later and didn't know many situations. Xiaoqing I looked at Zhong Wenbei and asked with some confusion, what's wrong with Yuen? Zhong Wenbei suddenly reacted, I'll go and see. After that, Zhong Wenbei also went upstairs. Xiaoqing I had a smile on his face. Is Xiaoqing I afraid of being scolded for these so-called tricks? No, the positioning of this love show is different. The name is Love This Lesson. Since it is a lesson, it is all-encompassing. Then the addition of two actors is a qualitative change. The director clearly told Xiaoqing I that the identities of the two actors would be transparent. The bright line is to watch the love show, and the dark line is actually to see which of the two actors is better at acting to complete this lesson. The more restrained you are, the less exciting the show itself is. This is what attracted Xiaoqing I the most. Debuted at the age of 19, and has been enjoying the youth meal for several years, how many more years can he enjoy it? This is the opportunity for transformation. Xiaoqing I understands Chen Shen's point of contacting every girl. He has only two ways to play. Either get all the girls or get all the boys. It is impossible for him to get all the boys, right? Getting all the girls is so difficult. Xiaoqing I thinks that this is impossible. At most, he can be ambiguous with everyone while breaking up other CPS. He can't be clearly bound to a certain person, otherwise he can't take care of others. Relatively speaking, it's simpler on his side, which is also the point that the company thinks it can try. It has a great advantage. Every day for Xiaoqing I, the task is very simple. Comparing with the content of Chen Shen's shots, this point cannot be sloppy, otherwise there is no confrontation, and the audience will not accept it even if he wins. Then catch Fang Ye and match other guests. As they chatted, everyone went upstairs one after another. Not to mention going to bed so early, there is also a letter writing session. Su Mian didn't move, sitting cross-legged on the sofa playing with his mobile phone. Xiaoqing I moved closer, Mian, aren't you going up to rest? Su Mian looked up, I'll wait for them. Xiaoqing I smiled and said, it's okay, they are not children. Besides, even if they go home, they may come back very late. Su Mian shook his head, I don't want to sleep yet, you go to rest. Xiaoqing I was a little surprised. This child is a bit stubborn. Okay, I'll go up too. Call me if you have anything. Yeah. When the car lights flashed past the villa, it was already past 10 o'clock. Chen Shen and Su Mo got out of the car. A few photographers came over, and the two just stretched out their hands to block the light. It looked like they were letting them take pictures openly. Entering the house, seeing Su Mian sitting alone on the sofa, Chen Shen walked over. Su Mo shook her head, looking like she didn't want to pay attention. Mian, rest early. Su Mian hummed, okay, I'll come up later. Before Chen Shen sat down, Su Mian stood up and walked to the kitchen. Take 2 steps to see if Chen Shen followed. Chen Shen smiled and said, it's nothing. I just came back after a brief meeting. Su Mian hummed, and then took out a few small cakes from the refrigerator. They were brought back by Xiaoqing Ai and Fang Ye. Su Mian put them in the refrigerator before she finished eating. Is it enough? You didn't eat much when you left, Su Mian whispered. Chen Shen took it over, just send me a message about this. On the dining table, Su Mian lay on the table, with one hand supporting her chin, watching Chen Shen eat. Chen Shen looked at Su Mian several times, a little confused. Why does it feel wrong? Chen Shen began to wonder, what's wrong with Su Mian? Do you want to eat? Su Mian shook her head slightly. You eat, is there any place you want to go? Chen Shen bit the small fork that was inserted into the small cake, and seemed to understand a little. Today is Thursday, tomorrow is Friday, and the second round of dates is coming. In the first round, the man invites the woman, and in the second round, the woman invites the man. So, it's Thursday, and Su Mian hasn't decided where to go. Even though Chen Shen was thick-skinned, he couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Have you thought about it? No, I mean I haven't thought about the place. Chen Shen swallowed the cake in front of him. Where do you want to go? My home. Ahem. I feel that going out to play is not as good as playing games at home. Chen Shen thought about it and nodded. Okay, let's go to your house. Su Mian hummed, then stood up and ran to the door before turning back to say good night. It is indeed very difficult to arrange for Su Mian to go out and play. Chen Shen was thinking about how to deal with Su Mian. Chen Shen had already had ideas about Su Yuan, not to mention Su Mo. Only Su Mian is difficult to deal with. She may not know what love is. What if I guide her and become good friends? It seems that this is the only way. Compared to love, Chen Shen is more concerned about his career so far. I didn't come here for love, but to show my business ability. What business ability? Acting. After becoming an artist in my previous life, especially after my career started, I never fell in love. What should I do if I get addicted to love? Take on a love drama, immerse yourself in it, and experience all the feelings. Upstairs, Su Mo was lying on the bed, and her mind began to sort out the things that happened today. Suddenly, Su Mo felt someone was looking at her, and she came back to her senses. Sister Mo, I want to ask you a question. Su Mian stood in front of the bed. You ask. What should it feel like to be in love? Su Mo looked at Su Mian, who might be taking a shower, with her hair down, and a little tilted bangs made her look more delicate and cute. Su Mo thought of Chen Shen, and it was undoubtedly because of Chen Shen that Su Mian asked this question. Su Mo thought about it and replied, this question is a bit complicated, and you can't experience it in a short time. Su Mian nodded and asked again, how long will it take? Su Mo thought about it, at least 2 months. 2 months, the show is over, so he won't go to harm little Su Mian, right? Su Mian nodded, didn't ask any more questions this time, and then walked to the bathroom. Halfway through the walk, he looked at Su Mo again. What about normal times? How do you feel normally? Su Mo rubbed her temples. Nothing feels normal times, just like good friends, thinking about each other about everything, giving each other gifts, inviting each other to play at home, etc. Su Mo's thoughts are very simple, afraid that Su Mian will fall into it, drag it out for 2 months, and nothing will happen. Now she may have a good impression of Chen Shen, so she can guide this good impression in the direction of friendship. The most important thing is that when he came back today, Chen Shen had no intention of developing a relationship with Su Mian at all. Is Chen Shen an asshole? But he did give all the signals to Su Yuan. Be it writing letters or dating. Su Mian couldn't help jumping in by herself, and it gave her a headache. Su Mian went into the bathroom and muttered, "Sister Mo means that the feeling of being in love in the early stage is similar to that of being good friends. I'm just being paid to be on a dating show, why do you choose me?" Author, Qingzhou Mi Se. Chapter 52. In the other bedroom, Su Yuan watched the car's lights enter the villa. She had been waiting for Chen Shen to at least say something to herself. I sent 2 messages on WeChat, but no reply. After calming down, Su Yuan felt that this might be an opportunity to judge the extent of his relationship with Chen Shen. If he didn't reply, maybe there was something serious going on at home and he didn't want to let himself know. However, when a person comes back, he must at least tell himself that he is back, right? If he doesn't even tell him this, either there is really a big deal at home, or he doesn't have as good an impression of him as he thinks. As for what Zhou Gaikan and Xiaoqing Ai said, Su Yuan felt that he could filter it out and see what his relationship had to do with them. Zhou Gaikan is getting more and more irritated now, he's really down. Xiaoqing Ai sat in front of the dressing table and took off her makeup. Although she and Su Yuan were roommates, they didn't get off to a good start. They mostly communicated politely and didn't want to say many things to each other. After several days, Xiaoqing Ai had to admit that Chen Shen was indeed better at causing trouble than she was. When he returned to his home, he actually dared to take Su Mo home with him in front of Su Mian and Su Yuan. This kind of confidence made Xiaoqing Ai feel a little less confident. Even if he was guarding Fang Ye, would Chen Shen have any worries? He is dragging 1, and he is dragging 3. Even if he wins, he is still at a disadvantage. Follow Chen Shen's example of 1 drag and 3. Or take the initiative and take a step forward. Xiaoqing Ai was thinking about this matter. If he followed suit, he might not be able to beat Chen Shen, and he would face 3 psychological pressures. Xiaoqing Ai admired Chen Shen for this. It was definitely true that this person was shameless. What if I take the initiative to go further? Contact Chen Shen? See how much the other person weighs. Shake the relationship between Fang Ye and Chen Shen? How about making the situation a little more chaotic? As soon as I, Xiaoqing, come into contact with Chen Shen, can Su Mo, Su Mian, and Su Yuan still maintain this balance with Chen Shen? For Xiaoqing Ai, there is only one concern about this matter, and that is whether Fang Hui will be disappointed in him and betray him. Xiaoqing Ai didn't think so, but Fang Zhe was quite innocent when it came to relationships and was easy to handle. After thinking about it, there was indeed a sense of urgency. Xiaoqing glanced at Su Yuan and then went out. The room opposite. Zhong Wenbei also didn't sleep. After submitting the letter, he sat at the computer desk in a daze. When Su Yuan went upstairs, Zhong Wenbei immediately followed him. After knocking on the door, he originally wanted to ask Su Yuan to go out for a walk, but Su Yuan said he wanted to take a shower and nothing happened. Zhong Wenbei sighed. It was so difficult to chase girls. It seemed that there was no use trying to show off. What's wrong? Zhou Gaikan, who was lying on the bed, put down his phone and looked over, probably because he heard Zhong Wenbei sigh. Zhong Wenbei sighed again, it's so difficult, brother Ken. Zhou Gaikan smiled and said, if it's not difficult, just do it if you like it. That's what you say, but how can it be so easy to do? Zhou Gaikan sat up and said, is it complicated? Chasing girls is just that. You have to put aside your own emotions and feelings. It's just like starting a business. If you quit at the slightest grievance or difficulty, how can you succeed? How can you make a fortune? Zhong Wenbei was stunned. Can it be compared like this? Absolutely. How can beautiful things in this world be so easy to get? Think about it, how much did you pay to become what everyone calls a top student? Are you studying while others are playing? This is called excellence. The same goes for falling in love. Most of us fall at the first step of the relationship and give up as soon as we hit a wall. Is that called excellence? That's called ordinary people who don't know how to fall in love. Zhong Wenbei nodded slowly, which made sense. My brother is probably a few years older than you, and has experienced more things. In addition, we are more compatible. I don't tell most people this. No matter what you do, you must be persevering. If you do this, who will succeed if you don't succeed? Success. What's the point of being passive in a relationship? Does he understand these ups and downs of emotions? Love itself is sweetness mixed with sourness. The sweetness after the sourness is the most unstoppable feeling. Zhong Wenbei sat upright without realizing it. Brother Ken, you are so powerful. Zhou Gaikan waved his hand. It's okay, I'm just a few years older than you. In a few years, you might be even better than me. Zhong Wenbei nodded. Thank you, Brother Ken, I understand. After saying that, Zhong Wenbei stood up and walked out. When he reached the door, he turned around and said, Brother Ken, I understand. You are so Buddhist here. You must have not met a girl you like. Otherwise, these things will not matter to you, it's too simple for you. Zhou Gaikan was stunned for a moment, then lay down with a stiff movement. Go ahead, you do understand me, good brother. Zhong Wenbei hummed, opened the door and went out. Indomitable. What is Zhong Wenbei going to do? Since Sister Yuan is in a bad mood, prepare something practical. There seems to be some fruit in the refrigerator. I'll get some small fruit plates to send over. Who doesn't know how to talk? I, Zhong Wenbei, will do practical things. If you don't believe me, Sister N won't be moved. When he arrived in the kitchen, Zhong Wenbei was stunned. Xia King I was actually there. Hey, why don't you rest? Xia King I also saw Zhong Wenbei. Zhong Wenbei smiled and nodded. What a coincidence, I'm going to get some fruit to eat too. Xia King I was peeling oranges, and Zhong Wenbei also opened the refrigerator and took out 2 apples. Xia King I joked, 2? Eat it by yourself. Zhong Wenbei was still a little reserved in front of Xia King I, and smiled, I want to get some for Sister Yuan. Sure, come on, here, I peeled this orange and I'll give it to you too. Zhong Wenbei hurriedly shook his head, it's okay, you eat it, I'll buy more tomorrow. Xia King I pushed the plate of oranges in front of Zhong Wenbei without saying anything. Why are you being polite? Yuan is still my roommate, come on. Hearing what Xia King I said, Zhong Wenbei smiled and accepted it. Thank you, Xia, can I call you King I? Sure, we are all friends. Zhong Wenbei nodded. Although it seems that there is no spark with Xia King I, it is also a rare experience to be able to become friends with Xia King I. Then I'll share some apples with you. At this time, Zhong Wenbei realized that Xia King I seemed to be preparing a small fruit plate. Is it for brother yet? Zhong Wenbei was more or less envious. Sure enough, everything is possible. Brother Ye actually gets this kind of treatment. Why can't I, Zhong Wenbei, succeed in pursuing Su Yuan? Thank you, half an apple is enough, go ahead. Zhong Wenbei also put the cut apples on a plate. Okay, then I'm leaving. Upstairs. Zhong Wenbei stood at the door of Su Yuan's bedroom. Originally, he felt a little embarrassed if Xia King I was there. Now that Xia King I is not here, and he has received encouragement from his roommate Sister Yuan, she must be deeply moved. What is Chen Shen? He just keeps you hanging and is nice to others every day. I, Zhong Wenbei, am not like this. I am a top student, the kind that never gives up. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I'm just being paid to be on a dating show, why do you choose me? Author, Ching-Jo Mi-se. Chapter 53. Dong dong dong. The bedroom door opened from the inside, and Su Yuan popped his head out. Who is it? Zhong Wenbei stood upright. It's me, Sister Yuan. It's so sweet to eat fruit. Su Yuan frowned. What kind of fruit should I eat at night? If it had been before, Zhong Wenbei would have regressed at this point. That's right. What kind of fruit should I eat at night? What about this moment? Zhong Wenbei's mind was full of 4 words: supplement vitamin C, help sleep, don't worry, you won't gain weight, take it, I prepared it carefully. Su Yuan was in a bad mood and didn't want to accept it. However, seeing the cautious look on his face, he couldn't say no if he refused, so he politely said, okay, I'll ask King Ai to eat together later. Zhong Wenbei laughed, okay, luckily I did a lot, then I'll go back. Su Yuan took the fruit plate. Well, thank you, go to bed early. After Su Yuan closed the door, Zhong Wenbei waved his fist. Yes. Beautiful. He felt that at least he had taken the first step. He even shared the meal with Qing Yi. Qing Yi had encouraged him from below, so he couldn't stand on his side and say good things. Damn it, the future is promising. Zhong Wenbei returned to his bedroom happily. Opening the door, he saw Zhou Gaikan lying on the bed, so he asked, are you asleep? Brother Ken. Zhou Gaikan came to his senses and said, sleep. At this moment, Zhong Wenbei was full of desire to share. Brother Ken is so funny. Do you know who I met in the kitchen? Qing Yi. She also gave me her peeled oranges and said come on. Zhou Gaikan lifted the quilt and said, Xia King I gave you the oranges she peeled. Zhong Wenbei nodded, yes, she is also preparing a fruit plate. I feel like she is sending it to brother yet. Ha ha ha, Sister Yuan accepted my fruit plate. Brother Ken, you are so awesome. I am convinced and will never give up. Zhou Gaikan covered himself with the quilt again. Just listen to me, love saint, you understand. Chen Shen finished writing the letter and went downstairs to submit it. Just as he stuffed the letter into the mailbox, he heard someone calling him from the restaurant. Looking sideways, it turned out to be Xia King Ai. A fresh mini long skirt with small white floral flowers and a jacket similar to a knitted sweater. Under the light, it does look like a delicate porcelain doll. Still not asleep, Chen Shen approached and asked. Xia Qing retreated to the dining table and looked at Chen Shen with a smile. The two of them have been getting along for the first time, and this is the first time they have met face to face. Sit down for a while. Chen Shen glanced at the fruit plate on the table and sat across from Xia King Ai. Seeing Chen Shen sit down, Xia King Ai also sat down. Eat fruit. Chen Shen was still more generous and took a piece of apple with a small fork and put it in his mouth. This was a signal, and Xia Qing couldn't sit still. Chen Shen had already expected that the artist who could take on this job would definitely be an ambitious person. As long as you perform better than her, the other person will be the first to sit still. Thanks. Very polite, but unrevealing. Xia Qing's tone was a little playful. I originally wanted to give it to brother yet. I'll give it to you when I see you. Chen Shen smiled and said, is it too late for me to spit it out now? Xia King Ai laughed and said, okay, then spit it out. Chen Shen shook his head, forked another piece of apple and put it in his mouth. It's okay, we are all buddies. I will help you eat it, which is more meaningful than eating it yourself. Xia Qing was stunned for a moment, accepted the move. The act itself was anything but innocent. The fruit plate was not prepared for Fang Ye either. It was equivalent to explicitly reminding Chen Shen that if you didn't intervene, the fruit plate would really be gone. No matter how good you are, the final result is that you lose. To put it bluntly, it is provocation. Chen Shen knows that Xiaoqing Ai is an ambitious person, and Xiaoqing Ai also knows that Chen Shen is also an ambitious person. Chen Shen knew that Xiaoqing had no choice but to win and could not suppress himself in terms of the content of the program. On the contrary, Xiaoqing Ai also felt that Chen Shen would not be willing to suppress himself only in terms of content and fail to win. Since Chen Shen doesn't move, he should break through it himself. Time goes by day, and one more day of inaction will make Chen Shen perform one more day. Then you eat them all. Chen Shen was not polite and put another piece of apple into his mouth. Xiaoqing Ai peeled the oranges and cut the apples by himself. The taste is indeed different from usual. Xiaoqing smiled and just let you take advantage. It's better to save some for Brother Ye. Tomorrow I want to ask Brother Ye whether he likes to eat these fruits. If he doesn't like it, I will prepare others. Then I ask you to give it to me. You're not in a hurry, and neither am I, but I'm going to start driving a wedge between you and everyone else. Chen Shen smiled and was quite polite, saying hello before making any move. You're welcome, the fruit is delicious. Upstairs, Xiaoqing returned to the bedroom. He saw Su Yuan sitting in front of the dressing table in a daze, with Zhong Wenbei's fruit plate in front of him, which remained motionless. What's wrong? Xiaoqing walked over. Su Yuan had already changed into pajamas and hadn't slept. Su Yuan looked back and said, "It's okay. Do you want to eat some fruit?" Xiaoqing smiled and said, "I will eat whatever you give me." Su Yuan held his chin with both hands, looking listless. "You can eat if you want. Chen Shen is back, right?" Xiaoqing glanced at the door and understood a little bit. From this point of view, Chen Shen is not that powerful. You brought Su Mo home, and Su Yuan got jealous, but you didn't realize it at all. If this happens a few more times, I probably won't need to make trouble, right? I'm back. I ran into him downstairs. Didn't he say anything? Xiaoqing shook her head. He just said hello. He looked very happy. Don't worry, everything should be fine at home. Su Yuan pouted. Humph. Don't think about it. I'm going to take a shower. You go to bed early. The more Su Yuan thought about it, the more uncomfortable he felt. He was worried for half a night, but he didn't even say hello. Then why do you send me letters every day? Dirty man. Xiaoqing came out of the shower and found Su Yuan still in a daze, just wanting to say something. Su Yuan suddenly stood up and went out with the untouched small fruit plate. Xiaoqing frowned. What was he doing? Su Yuan walked towards Chen Shen's bedroom with a reluctant look on his face. Chen Shen did ignore his feelings, but what if he was really just interfered with by family matters? If it is not resolved, it is a misunderstanding. If the misunderstanding gets deeper and deeper, then it will be over, right? 10,000 thoughts in my mind finally turned into, why don't I go and take a look? There happened to be a fruit plate in front of me, so I'll just treat it as sending food to their bedroom. After thinking about it, Su Yuan felt that she was definitely not compromising for a stinky man, but for herself to have a good sleep. However, halfway through the walk, that is, at the stairs, she met Chen Shen. Chen Shen was going upstairs from below. When Su Yuan saw Chen Shen, her mouth pouted unconsciously. To exaggerate a little, it would definitely be fine to hang a soy sauce bottle. Chen Shen came to Su Yuan and whispered, "Why aren't you sleeping yet?" Su Yuan snorted and didn't answer. Chen Shen handed her the fruit plate in his hand. "Eat fruit, it's sweet." Su Yuan was stunned for a moment, and her pouting mouth slowly smoothed out. The sudden thoughtfulness after the grievance made her eyes flash with tears. Su Yuan looked up at the ceiling, controlled his emotions, and then handed over the fruit plate in his hand. "Here you go." The two exchanged fruit plates and laughed. "Su Yuan, why are you peeling oranges in the middle of the night without resting?" Aren't you tired? Chen Shen, you are different. Why are you cutting apples in the middle of the night without resting? Aren't you tired? Su Yuan snorted and went back with the fruit plate full of oranges. When he opened the bedroom door, he turned back and stuck out his tongue at Chen Shen. Good night. Chen Shen smiled and nodded. Xia King I was about to lie down when Su Yuan suddenly came back and was a little surprised. Don't bother, go to sleep. Su Yuan had a sweet smile on his face. Okay, go to sleep, do you want an orange? After that, Su Yuan picked up an orange slice and put it in his mouth. Xia King I crawled from the head of the bed to the foot of the bed. Why are there so many oranges? Where are the apples? Su Yuan laughed and said, changed, this is made by Chen Shen, it's so sweet. Xia King I gritted his teeth, really? Thank you for your monthly tickets, please read on. I'm just being paid to be on a dating show, why do you choose me? Author, Qingzhou Se. Chapter 54. A little after 6 in the morning, Chen Shen went downstairs. Today he didn't rush into the kitchen, but walked around the yard. Chen Shen planned to skip work today. Some things are hard to explain to my sister, so let's leave it at that. The old man would at least give him some hope when he saw Su Mo and him appear together. Hope after despair, not to the point of a desperate situation. If they could sit down and talk, Chen Shen felt that the old man would not be so incapable of turning this corner. Ask for help when you need to, and give up what you need to give up. It's useless to say these things by yourself. The sky was cloudless, and it was sunny at first glance. Su Mo was still skipping rope in the backyard, and Chen Shen went into the kitchen. Add water to the steel pot and put it on the stove. Take out the meat filling for 2 people and heat it up, then take out some vegetables from the refrigerator. Hearing the noise, Chen Shen thought it was Su Mo coming in, but it turned out to be Su Yuan. Wearing cotton pink pajamas, yawning and walking over, the weather was getting cooler in late autumn. Maybe she slept well. Although she didn't wear makeup, her skin was in very good condition, white and smooth. Why did you get up so early? Chen Shen asked. Su Yuan looked at the meat filling heated in the microwave, the vegetables in the sink, and 2 bowls placed. He approached and said, I want to eat noodles too. Chen Shen nodded, okay, I'll cook for you. Chen Shen stood in front of the stove, and Su Yuan stood beside Chen Shen, swaying. Obviously, getting up at this time was not comfortable for Su Yuan. Why don't you lie on the sofa for a while? I'll call you when I'm done cooking. Su Yuan tried to open his eyes wider, come over, I'll cook. Chen Shen made way. It seemed that staring at the small bubbles gradually rising in the pot would make the sleepiness disappear. It looks good. What? I said your outfit looks good. It looks more energetic than formal clothes. Chen Shen lowered his head. He was indeed dressed very casually today, white and black, a casual suit. Formal clothes look good too, unlike Xiaobai. Xiaobai looks like a child wearing adult clothes when wearing formal clothes. Chen Shen smiled and said, keep your voice down. Su Yuan hummed, I don't feel sleepy anymore. What time do you go to work? 9 o'clock. Chen Shen understood. Who would be willing to get up early despite being sleepy? But the conversation will change. Why do I get up early for you? Jealous. Forcing you to look at me more? It doesn't seem so decent to Su Yuan. Chen Shen changed the subject, sure, I remember, if I can do it for 1 day, I can do it for 10 days. Go to bed early and get up early, develop good habits, and run together at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Su Yuan was still thinking about what to say next, but when Chen Shen said these words, he frowned immediately, what? Go look in the mirror and see how good you are. Go to bed early and get up early, and you will become beautiful. Su Yuan reacted for a moment, then laughed, Then I'll try it. The water boiled, and Su Yuan threw the 2 balls of noodles prepared next to him into the pot. Chen Shen opened the refrigerator and took out another one. I bought packaged wet noodles, the kind that are divided into portions. Su Yuan didn't know what he was thinking, and laughed. Chen Shen looked over. What's wrong? I feel like I can really get up, and cooking noodles is fun. Chen Shen smiled and didn't care. From a psychological point of view, if it is a flag in the state, it is likely that it cannot be achieved. Go and call Sister Mo to eat noodles. Okay. At the table, Su Mo ate noodles while looking at the 2 people sitting opposite her. One was holding a mobile phone and didn't know what he was looking at, and the other took out the unfinished chicken feet in the refrigerator and chewed them very fragrantly. In Su Mo's opinion, both of them were people with many minds. Under abnormal circumstances, they got along very harmoniously. It was really magical. By the way, Sister Mo, I'm taking a break today, Chen Shen suddenly said. Su Mo paused, then nodded. Are you taking a break today? Su Yuan looked over. Yeah. Chen Kinyu sent a few messages at around 2 o'clock last night. Ask yourself what your relationship with Su Mo is, and what medicine you had in mind when you went home last night. What can be explained about these? Let them guess for themselves. If you stay at a simpler level, perhaps you will get the best result. Chen Shen felt that under so much pressure, the family had reached the point of quarreling, and the old man must have made the worst plan. Giving him some hope would be a life-saving straw. If it still can't be handled well, Chen Hotpot will be gone. It's not a good thing for Su Mo to be too involved, and she doesn't have the energy. Su Mo put down the bowl and chopsticks. Chen Shen said again, leave it, I'll wash it later. Su Yuan also said, yes, we are not in a hurry, it's too wasteful to wash one by one. Su Mo nodded, then I'll leave. Watching Su Mo leave, Su Yuan slowly retracted his gaze. I said, it's not as exaggerated as they think. Chen Shen is not that kind of person. He has a sense of boundaries when getting along with Sister Mo. Chen Shen can go to bed and get up early every day, which is very good. Sister Mo is a big boss in the investment industry. She must value her reputation and won't do anything wrong. Besides, if the relationship is handled well and she makes friends, it will be useful for Chen Shen's development in the future. That group of people are a little surprised. Su Yuan thought about it and felt that she needed to remind Chen Shen of something. Xia King I didn't know the specific situation and talked nonsense, but Zhou Gaikan was different. I looked around. They were all machines, and it was hard to say something. Eat quickly. You can catch up on your sleep after eating. What time do you usually leave? I can call you when the time comes, Chen Shen's voice sounded. Su Yuan came to his senses, I'm not sleepy anymore. Okay then, leave those who finish eating first alone, and those who finish last will wash the dishes. After Chen Shen finished speaking, he immediately put down his chopsticks. Su Yuan glared, how can you be like this? I'm still eating chicken feet. Chen Shen took the packaging box containing chicken feet over and leaned over to smell it. Not spicy, really. I'm just checking whether it's bad or not. Don't have diarrhea. Su Yuan had a smile on his face, and he felt more and more that he was right to choose Chen Shen. He can notice many details. I'll wash it, but you're not allowed to leave either. Chen Shen looked outside and saw that there was already sunshine. Okay, then I'll go get the computer. Go ahead. Before Chen Shen went downstairs, Zhong Wenbei and Zhou Gaikan entered the kitchen together. Su Yuan glanced at them and said hello. Zhong Wenbei's eyes lit up and he walked over, Sister N, it's so early. Zhou Gaikan noticed the 3 sets of bowls and chopsticks on the table. Obviously, those words last night had an effect, and Su Yuan became more and more proactive towards Chen Shen. Joe Gaikin's emotions were a little complicated. On the one hand, he felt that his little trick worked, but on the other hand, Su Yuan was really interested in Chen Shen. What he originally wanted to do was perfectly replicated by Chen Shen. Zhong Wenbei stood opposite Su Yuan. It's not good to eat spicy food in the morning. Su Yuan pushed the box in front of Zhong Wenbei. Want to eat? Zhong Wenbei reached out and took one. It's okay to eat less. Although Su Yuan had a smile on his face, he was complaining in his heart, I want you to take care of me, but Chen Shen didn't take care of me. I'm just being paid to be on a dating show, why do you choose me? Author, Qingzhou Mi Se. Chapter 55. In the bedroom, Fang was also washing up in the bathroom. There were still a few pieces of cut apples left in the fruit plate on the table next to him. After a night of oxidation, they had turned yellow and black. Chen Shen took the computer and went out. He happened to meet Su Mian, who was about to go downstairs. Maybe she heard the movement behind her, turned around, and saw Chen Shen. A very standard ponytail, bangs tied up, delicate face, formal work clothes, and a leather computer bag. That kind of delicate and well-behaved bookish air is exactly like a little princess from a wealthy family. Chen Shen approached, let's play games together when we come back tonight. Su Mian had a smile on her face. She brought the computer back yesterday. She brought the computer back because she told Chen Shen about playing games. But she had something to do later yesterday and didn't play. Of course, she was a little embarrassed to say it. Let Chen Shen play games with her here? Isn't it not good? Chen Shen saw it and took the initiative to say it. Su Mian nodded, okay. When passing by the mailbox, Su Mian walked faster. Chen Shen's expression was a little complicated. Didn't she check the mailbox? You don't want to eat? Chen Shen asked. Su Mian looked at the kitchen. There were so many people. I eat at the company. I can't eat too early. I eat when I'm slacking off at work. Really? Su Mian pinched her hands under the shoulder straps of the backpack in front of her chest. She felt that Chen Shen's tone was similar to her mother's. Okay, be careful on the road. Su Mian nodded, I will definitely eat. Walking to the door, Su Mian looked back, as if she had something to say. Chen Shen stopped and waited for her words. Su Mian probably felt that the distance between them was too far and it was hard to say, so she walked back. Does what I said last night count? Chen Shen thought about it, then nodded, it counts. Okay, I'm leaving. Su Mian took a brisk step, changed her shoes and went out. Chen Shen looked through the window and kept watching Su Mian's figure disappear out of sight. Then he shook his head and sighed. Su Yuan, who looks carefree and likable, is disturbed more. Su Mian, who is not good at socializing, is like a little lone ranger. All this seems to be reasonable. Chen Shen just walked into the kitchen and was pushed out by Su Yuan. I've finished washing, don't interfere. The two sat on the sofa. What time is it? Chen Shen looked at the time, 7:45. Su Yuan frowned, it's annoying, why do people have to go to work? Chen Shen smiled and said, then you can skip work. Don't encourage me, I really can do it. Su Yuan counted on his fingers and said, the light rail takes half an hour, and the walk takes about 10 minutes in total. Count 5 minutes for error tolerance, and 45 minutes is enough. The closer the relationship, many things are no longer concealed, such as not liking this job. Don't rush on the road, safety is important. Su Yuan leaned on the sofa and looked at Chen Shen. She used to think that Chen Shen was a simple and passive person. Later, she felt that Chen Shen must be a rich man in his heart, and he had a lot of experience. Otherwise, he would not empathize with his little emotions, and would comfort himself without any worries. Su Yuan didn't know if he had a good impression filter, otherwise why would he feel that Chen Shen was more and more excellent? Hello. Why don't you like your current job when you get up so early every day to go to work? Chen Shen thought about it for a long time before he remembered that he had said this to Su Yuan, and replied, although I don't like my current job, I like myself now. This sentence is not pretentious for Chen Shen himself. He really likes and cherishes himself at the moment. After all, he has died once. Su Yuan's eyes were full of stars, and she hurriedly looked away, thinking that it was over, and she did have a good impression filter. She actually thought the sentence was so romantic. But what if I only know how to check the spot, Su Yuan muttered. Chen Shen smiled and said, what's the difference? I get up early and you get up late, it's the same concept, just to make myself happy. Su Yuan snorted, although I know you are comforting me, it's very useful. Seeing Chen Shen turn on the computer, Su Yuan asked again, you hold your precious computer every day, and it doesn't look like you are playing games. Is it because of work? Chen Shen shook his head, how can I love work so much? What is that? Surprise. Su Yuan came over and almost touched Chen Shen, let me see it. Chen Shen closed the computer, you can't see it now. Su Yuan was stunned and said uncertainly, the surprise you are talking about is for me. Chen Shen nodded, yes. Su Yuan suddenly felt that the world became beautiful, and laughed, who wants to see it, stingy. Chen Shen said as if joking, but for you, it may not be a surprise. Su Yuan quickly stretched out his hands and made a cross in front of his chest, stop, the more you talk, the more curious I am. Xia King Ai appeared at the stairs. Or rather, Su Yuan and Chen Shen just noticed Xia King Ai appeared at the stairs. Su Yuan hurriedly moved away from Chen Shen, then he became a little annoyed after realizing it. What was he afraid of? It was a love show. Morning. Xia King Ai walked towards the kitchen, and halfway through, she suddenly looked at Chen Shen, why haven't you gone to work today? Chen Shen replied, I'm taking a day off today. Wow, so good. Su Yuan replied, don't say anything, I'm almost envious. Xia King Ai continued to walk towards the kitchen, and when she reached the door, she turned back and said, what a coincidence, I'm taking a day off today too. Su Yuan was stunned, and said in a crying voice, I'm the only one working, right? After saying that, she seemed to feel something was wrong, and stared at Xia King Ai. Xia King Ai smiled and went into the kitchen. Chen Shen reminded, go upstairs and change clothes. Su Yuan stood up, I really want to skip work, I'm so angry. Having said that, he went upstairs. It felt like only 5 minutes at most, and Su Yuan went downstairs. She ran to Chen Shen in a hurry, turned around, and then blinked and said, does it look good? Black tight jeans, gray close-fitting t-shirt, perfect curves, thin waist, and beautiful curves on the hips. Although her upper body is not as good as Sister Mo's, it is still quite prominent. She wore a knitted sweater and jacket on the outside, which made her look youthful and energetic. It looks good. Su Yuan laughed a few times, and then ran out in a hurry. Everyone went out one after another, and Fang Ye went downstairs leisurely. Seeing Chen Shen still sitting in the living room, he was surprised, wow, the sun is rising from the west. Chen Shen looked up, I'm taking a break today. Sure, are you going home? Fang Ye thought that Chen Shen had not dealt with the family affairs yesterday, so he had to go back today. Chen Shen shook his head, no, I'll just take a break. That's great. After entering the kitchen, Fang Ye saw Xia King Ai sitting at the dining table, eating breakfast leisurely, and was even more surprised. The two talked a lot on their date yesterday. Xia King Ai is currently busy with the recording of this program and the personal album. Hey, King Ai hasn't left yet. Fang Ye was surprised. Xia Qing looked over and said with a smile, good morning. My team at the company has other things to do today, so I'm taking a day off. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I'm just being paid to be on a dating show, why do you choose me? Author, Qingzhou Se. Chapter 56. Hearing that Xiaoqing was resting, Fang Ye's first thought was why he didn't tell him earlier. If I had told him earlier, I would have coordinated the work. How tempting it is to be able to stay with Xiaoqing for a whole day. As soon as Xiaoqing saw that Fang Ye was thinking about something, he added, "Brother Ye, go to work and don't worry about me. I just took this opportunity to have a good rest." Fang Ye thought about it, too. She is under a lot of pressure and should take a rest if she can. Then yourself. No, Chen Shen is also off today. If you are bored, just chat with him. Although he doesn't talk much, he is a very nice person, Fang Ye said as he walked towards the refrigerator. Xiaoqing nodded, yes. Fang also took a piece of bread and looked back 3 times, I'll get off work early today. Xiaoqing okay, bye. In the living room, Fang also saw Chen Shen walking over holding a computer and wearing headphones. Chen Shen was very focused. He took off his earphones and looked over when there was movement around him. Brother Ye? You have a day off today too. Fang Ye said helplessly, I'd like to, let me tell you something, Qing Yi is actually not very good at cooking. Why don't you order takeout at noon? Chen Shen understood and said with a smile, okay, tell me what time it is and I'll call you in advance. Fang also hugged Chen Shen's shoulders, you're so smart. It depends on the situation. Just scream when you're hungry. Then I'll tell her you asked me to scream. The smile on Fang Ye's face got even bigger, good brother, that's interesting. I'll go and bring you some delicious food in the evening. Seeing Fang Ye happily going out, Chen Shen shook his head and sighed. The people who come here are not bad. All I can say is that the director is really good at making things happen. Will Chen Shen relent? Not really. Life is not like this, everyone has their own role. A few minutes later, Xiaoqing stood at the door of the restaurant and shouted, would you like some coffee? Chen Shen didn't hear it. As soon as Xiaoqing came closer, she stood in front of Chen Shen, would you like some coffee? Chen Shen took off his headphones, what? Xiaoqing gritted his teeth, is the fruit delicious? Chen Shen touched his nose awkwardly, where are the fruits? In Xiaoqing's eyes, Chen Shen was thicker skinned than the Great Wall. Although the first conversation last night was a test, Xiaoqing felt that he was still polite. Then he turned around and borrowed flowers to offer to Buddha. Doesn't his conscience hurt? I peeled so many oranges that my nails turned over. In Chen Shen's opinion, is this a serious matter? You've already pointed it out, why should I be pretentious? Even in front of you, can you still say that you peeled that orange for me? Dare you say it? Then I can get you some more, Xiaoqing said angrily. Chen Shen shook his head, since you have rested, let's really take a good rest. Xiaoqing pouted, turned around and entered the restaurant. Xiaoqing was a little confused. Where did Chen Shen's confidence come from? Does he think he won't put himself in danger? Can't you really leave the venue holding hands with a certain guest? If this is the case, Xiaoqing can only say that Chen Shen underestimates himself. If she could come, she would be mentally prepared. A cup of coffee was placed on the coffee table in front of Chen Shen, and then Xiaoqing went out through the back door. Over there on the terrace, the sun is just right. What is Chen Shen doing? Make songs. It can be expected that there will be controversy if the program is aired. The more controversial it is, the greater the traffic. Will this traffic eventually disappear quietly as time goes by, or will it be implemented? People on the show may not have considered these things, but people outside the show must have considered them, such as the capital behind Xiaoqing II. Chen Shen wanted to get a piece of the pie, and also wanted to bring some practical benefits to Su Yuan. So it was a surprise for Su Yuan. Then there are two business plans, or two touching stories. One is prepared for the old man. If he can handle it himself, forget it. For Chen Hot Pot, it will be a qualitative change. The other one is for Su Mo. It's a more touching story. It's very likely that it won't be used, but at least it has to be there as a sign of sincerity. I sat for 2 hours, stretched out, and my legs were numb. Got up and saw coffee. He moved slowly a few times, and his legs seemed not to be his own. Take a sip of coffee, pure American style, very bitter and very refreshing. Look back out the floor-to-ceiling window. Xiaoqing II seemed to be asleep on the deck chair on the terrace. The parasol was opened, the upper body was in the shadow, and the lower body was in the sun. The white t-shirt was tucked into the long plaid skirt on the lower body, which was so tranquil and unreal. The final glory of the Chinese girl group, their appearance is at the highest level. But final glory is usually not a good word. As one of the most popular players in the last female group of Penguin Video, the announcement is full of fans. It is said that during the busiest time, I flew to 5 cities in one day. Is this a good thing? No. Unable to stop, there is no accumulation, and the popularity or luck accumulated in the draft is constantly being consumed. Xiaoqing II kept showing up, and fans kept paying for it. 3 years later, the value was greatly reduced, and several unknown artists in Goose Factory suddenly became popular during the same period. Only then did Xiaoqing II's contract return to Yuan Media. The outside world thought that what greeted Xiaoqing II was another round of oppression. Unexpectedly, he rarely showed up in the year after his return, and he only played supporting roles in 2 dramas. There are other voices from the outside world. Yuan Media is suppressing Xiaoqing II. Chen Shen doesn't think so. These actions are smart. The exposure in the first 3 years was too saturated, and there was no actual work. The popularity among passers-by was very average. It is indeed a good thing to settle down. If Chen Shen was the boss of Yuan, he felt that he would do the same, and play the long game to catch the big fish. As for the fans of Xiaoqing II on Weibo, they still have to fight Yuan Media. For Yuan, it is not necessarily a bad thing. Washing fans and increasing the cohesion of fans, when one day they appear mainly with works, it will be an explosion. After being suppressed, she stood up by her own efforts. How good is this story? Chen Shen let her rest, not because he looked down on her little thoughts, but because he really let her rest. It's not easy for the little girl. A cup of steaming coffee was placed on the small table next to the recliner. Chen Shen took away Xiaoqing II's empty cup. Xiaoqing II woke up, but did not move. She looked at Chen Shen's back as he entered the room, as if wondering who this person was. She didn't get up until she saw Chen Shen sitting on the sofa again. Ha, so comfortable. Xiaoqing stood up after yawning. She walked a few steps and headed towards the French window. Although Chen Shen wore headphones, he was still aware of the changes in light and immediately turned on the computer. He turned around and looked at Xiaoqing II. Xiaoqing II put her hands on the glass, holding a small umbrella in front of her eyes, and then stared at each other. After a few seconds of silence, Xiaoqing II asked, "What are you having for lunch?" Chen Shen took off his headphones. "What?" Xiaoqing II started writing on the glass, but couldn't write, so she yawned and wrote again. The first word disappeared before it was finished. Chen Shen turned around, ignored her, turned on his phone, and started looking for takeout. He found a highly rated stir-fry restaurant and handed it to Xiaoqing II to take a look. Xiaoqing II started to use her hands to block the light with a small umbrella, shaking her head and said, "Order takeout. I'm just being paid to be on a dating show, why do you choose me?" Author, Qingzhou Se. Chapter 57. In the kitchen, Xiaoqing opened the refrigerator, took inventory, and said, "Make it yourself. Everyone buys groceries every day, and there is still some left in the refrigerator, which is enough for 2 people. Brother Ye said you were very busy and asked me to order takeout." Chen Shen stood behind Xiaoqing. Xiaoqing turned around, "But I want to do it." "But I won't." "Then I'll cook it for you." "It's not good." "Do you still know how to be modest?" Xiaoqing took out the vegetables from the refrigerator. Chen Shen silently calculated. Is this the 3rd female guest to cook for him? I don't know what kind of scolding he will get when it is broadcast, but Chen Shen is not afraid of this kind of scolding. "There is no meat, can we just have vegetarian dishes?" Chen Shen took a look. "I think we should order takeout." "No, but there are eggs, scrambled eggs with onions. It should be okay." "There seems to be this dish, cucumber and egg soup." "There seems to be this dish too." "I remembered it." It does exist. Although Xiaoqing looked at Chen after saying these words, what he said deeply was mostly to himself. "Do you need my help?" Xiaoqing looked around. "Help me tie my apron." Chen Shen nodded and took off the hung apron. "First, we need to take him from the front." The 2 of them are facing each other, very close, and they are both controlling their breathing. Looking at Xiaoqing from a close distance, she does look good. The outline of the porcelain doll's face from 4 years ago is more obvious, delicate, and bright as a flower. With this face, you really can't lose, and it's hard to resist. Xiaoqing was calm inside, looking directly into Chen Shen's eyes, even a little aggressive. But Chen Shen's eyes were like deep, calm pools. "Do you like Mian?" The apron was put on, but Xiaoqing did not turn around. Chen Shen asked back, "Do you like brother yet?" Xiaoqing had a smile on his face. "Yes." This smile seems to be mocking Chen Shen. "You dare not answer, but I am not afraid." "Brother Ye is a very nice person and very simple," Chen Shen answered. Mian is also very nice and simple. By the way, your benefactor is also very nice, not to mention Sister Mo. Chen Shen smiled. "I know." Xiaoqing laughed. "I know too." Chen Shen sighed. "You don't know." Xiaoqing refused to accept it and moved closer. "I know. Her body smells like orchid, and the person in front of her looks like a jade carefully carved by Nuwa." Chen Shen changed the subject. "Turn around." When Xiaoqing turned around, she saw that her t-shirt was loose, but it was tucked into her skirt, and her waist was very thin. Once restrained by the apron, the curves come out. Everyone's ability to accept is different. I think after the bomb, you have to send at least 1-3 to let the opponent win. Chen Shen pointed out what he said. Xiaoqing was stunned for a moment, and his eyes became bright. "I understand you a little bit." Chen Shen helped her tie her apron. "Okay, is there anyone else who needs help?" Xiaoqing turned around and faced Chen Shen. "It seems free and easy, but in fact there are a lot of worries in my heart. I want and want. How can there be such a good thing in the world?" Chen Shen smiled, as if he just wanted to do whatever you wanted. Seeing Chen Shen didn't respond, Xiaoqing started to process the ingredients. After a while, he looked at Chen Shen again and said with a smile, "Aren't you afraid of being sacked in the middle of the night?" Chen Shen burst out laughing. "No." In Xiaoqing's view, Chen Shen must be under greater pressure than himself. Is Fang also difficult to deal with? Xiaoqing thought it was not difficult. Doing math between the 2, in terms of handling the aftermath, Fang is comparable to Su Yuan, Chen Shen, Su Mian, and Su Mo, both of whom have unusual backgrounds. If one of them fails to handle the matter properly, there will be serious consequences. Chen Shen said these words as a test to test Xiaoqing's attitude towards this show. Now that the temptation has been revealed, there are some things that don't need to be reminded. From Chen Shen's perspective, does Xiaoqing Ai have a better choice? Must have. Zhou Gaikan is an insider and works in public relations. He has never seen anything in the entertainment industry, and his receptivity is 100% high. Then why did Xiaoqing Ai choose Fang Ye? Because Zhou Gaikan has a complicated background, he is most likely afraid of being ripped off. Why should I cooperate with you? What if I bite you afterwards? This is very possible because the two companies are competitors and are still in the same place. To calm Zhou Gaikan, there may be a price to pay, but the method of calming him down will most likely just require coaxing. Very sober and cruel. Chen Shen felt that it would be better if he saw Zhenjiang under his command. Half an hour later, the two sat opposite each other. Is there really no need to order takeout? Chen Shen asked. You look down on my cooking skills. That's not true. I'm afraid you won't be used to it. One stir-fried green vegetable, one stir-fried egg with onions, and a cucumber and egg soup, which is somewhat simple. Xiaoqing Ai seemed a little embarrassed and added, the ingredients limit my performance. Chen Shen nodded and started to cook. After eating a few mouthfuls of food, Xiaoqing looked at Chen Shen and said, how about we cook a good meal tonight? They are all working and working so hard. It seems unreasonable for the two of us to rest and not cook, right? Chen Shen glanced at Xiaoqing Ai, aren't you tired? Fortunately, I won't be tired as long as you help me, I'm the chef. I can't cook. Just help, wash and prepare vegetables and so on. Think about it, as soon as they come back, they can eat directly. How happy they are, and how accomplished we feel. Chen Shen smiled and did not respond immediately. The logic is simple. I help you cook for everyone, which seems normal. However, it is not normal when it comes to me, Chen Shen. I didn't fight with Su Mian, I didn't fight with Su Yuan, but I fought with you, Xiaoqing Ai. Xiaoqing Ai looked at Chen Shen with a smile, she was very confident. Since it has been decided to start the action, if this move doesn't work, there is another move. The fact that has been confirmed so far is that I, Xiaoqing Ai, stayed with you, Chen Shen, for a day. Chen Shen looked at Xiaoqing Ai who was very excited and replied, can you go out? Seeing that Chen Shen was a little moved, Xiaoqing Ai stood up, walked around and sat next to Chen Shen, of course I can go out, I just need to change my clothes, do you agree? Not impossible. So you agree, Xiaoqing Ai put her hand on Chen Shen's arm and looked at Chen Shen with bright eyes. Chen Shen turned his head away from Xiaoqing Ai, and Xiaoqing Ai quickly pulled Chen Shen, oh, just cook, I'm the chef, you just help me, okay. Okay. Hee. Xiaoqing Ai put down his chopsticks, I'll go change clothes now, you eat first. Chen Shen nodded and watched Xiaoqing Ai trot out. The move must be accepted, but it's hard to say who will benefit in the end. Chen Shen knew that this was playing with fire. But for Xiaoqing Ai, it was the same. Xiaoqing Ai felt that he could deal with Fang Ye afterwards, and he could also mess up the situation on Chen Shen's side. Chen Shen also felt that he could stabilize the situation on his side, and he could also mess up the state of Xiaoqing Ai and Fang Ye. Xiaoqing Ai's coquetry just now was not deliberately pretended, some excitement was secreted, and for actors, getting into the role is a basic skill. I'm just being paid to be on a dating show, why do you choose me? Author, Qingzhou Mi Se. Chapter 58. The inside and outside of the house are particularly clear because of the sunlight. Xiaoqing Ai stood outside the door, waiting for Chen Shen to go out. A few minutes later, Chen Shen appeared at the door with two garbage bags in his hands. The sun is shining brightly, walking side by side. Xiaoqing Ai changed into a more neutral outfit and took off the makeup on her face. From a delicate and fresh beauty, she turned into a playful girl next door. Wait for me, Xiaoqing said as soon as she reached the entrance of the yard, and then ran towards the photographers who were following her. Chen Shen went out, preparing to throw away the garbage first. A few minutes later, Xia Qing'ai appeared at the door, but he had a small shooting machine with a stabilizer in his hand. "Come on, let's take the photo ourselves." Chen Shen asked, "What should I do if I am recognized soon?" "It's not a big problem. It's okay to recognize him." It can be seen that Xia Qing'ai is very courageous, taking pictures here and there with the camera, occasionally leaning over to let Chen look into the mirror, and even looking at the camera. There are not many people in the supermarket at 1 o'clock, and there are even fewer young people. Most are concentrated in the vegetable and fruit areas. "How about I cook a table of authentic Yuzhou cuisine?" Xia Qing'ai asked playfully. "I don't care, as long as you can do it. Then I'll buy spicy millet." Xia Qing reached out for the boxed peppers in the fresh food section and winked at Chen Shen. Seeing that Chen Shen was unmoved, he put it down again. "It's boring, I'll give this to you." Xia Qing handed the shooting machine to Chen Shen, and then she took the cart over. "How to make sweet and sour pork ribs," Xia Qing said to himself at first, then pushed the cart and started looking for ingredients one by one. She used a stupid method, buying each dish one dish at a time. Chen Shen took the shooting machine and followed him all the way, like a tool man. After walking around for a few times, Xia Qing looked at Chen Shen and said, "I don't understand. Is it just because you are so good looking?" Chen Shen was a little confused. "What? They are interested in you just because you are good looking?" Chen Shen smiled and said, "So after being in contact with me for a long time, this is what you got?" Xia Qing shook his head. "It's not that exaggerated, it's just a bit boring. Don't put pressure on me. Do you want to poo me?" Xia Qing was stunned for a moment and snorted. After a while, he asked again, "What do you think of me?" Chen Shen thought for a while. "She is one of the most beautiful girls I have ever met." "One? Who else?" Chen Shen said helplessly, "You think my good looks are just a bit more than that. I only said that you are good looking. That's the important point, okay?" Xia Qing'ai frowned. "So you think I'm nothing more than that?" "No, I just want to show that being good looking is a huge advantage for me." "So narcissistic?" Chen Shen shook his head and wanted to ignore her. "Obviously you want to explore my advantages other than good looks, so I will tell you my thinking logic. Isn't this a sharp contrast in cognition?" However, Xia Qing'ai's points always perfectly avoid Chen Shen's points. "Fried sugar color, wait for me, I'll get some rock sugar." Chen Shen grabbed her and said, "You already bought rock sugar for your sweet and sour pork ribs." Xia Qing looked back at the shopping cart. "I think I really bought it. In addition to being beautiful, you learn things quickly." Xia Qing'ai was a little confused. Shouldn't this be forgetfulness? Because you are not familiar with cooking, you have to memorize every dish and then you can get started. Xia Qing smiled and said, "So this is another kind of cleverness on my part. Then I understand now that in addition to being handsome, you can also coax people. Thank you. Don't pry or be curious." Xia Qing'ai leaned over. "What? Are you afraid that I will fall in love with you?" Chen Shen reached out and pushed her away. "Add one more, keep your distance." Xia Qing pushed the car and continued to move forward. "Don't worry, I am career-oriented. Even if I like you, I will not fight to the death. As long as it conflicts with my career, I will give up my relationship." Sensing movement on Chen Shen's hands, Xia Qing looked over and stopped. "It's okay. You don't have to stop filming as soon as I tell you it can't be broadcast. At worst, we will delete them all later and then walk around in a polite manner. Shoot some fresh content." Chen Shen asked, "What is fresh content?" Xia Qing'ai came closer again, and then naturally took Chen Shen's hand. Chen Shen pushed her away again like a chicken. "Keep your distance." Xiaoqing was so happy that she kept laughing. Chen Shen shook his head and sighed. He who doesn't know is fearless. In other words, she is too adventurous. Thinking that everything is under her control. Braised pork, sweet and sour pork ribs, meat dishes, and fish? Pickled fish? Or braised fish? If you have braised pork, then pickled fish will be good. Xiaoqing I began to talk to himself again. Chen Shen took the shooting seriously. Who is the most gossiped person in the entertainment industry? Among them, there must be a PD who follows the variety show. Many things were revealed during small talk like this. It's just that these gossips must not extend from the channels of the program team, otherwise the program team will be unprofessional, and the artists will collectively resist, who dares to appear on these programs. There are rumors, some of which are true or false. As a part of the entertainment industry's ecological chain, fake news is not useless. If there are too many fake things, the real ones will become fake, and if there are too many real things, the fake ones will become real. After the public gets used to it, they just laugh it off. He is handsome, sensible, can coax people, and has a kind heart. No wonder. After buying groceries, Xiaoqing I began to draw conclusions about Chen Shen again. Chen Shen carried a few bags and walked back without paying attention to her. Xiaoqing I snorted and followed him. You don't like the compliments. Chen Shen turned around. What if I acted these out? Xiaoqing I shook her head. Maybe there is an element of acting. How old are you? You are learning to judge people from others. How old are you? Don't you learn to judge people from others? Then if you say yes, then yes. Don't be so defensive. Just accept the compliments. I said this morning that you want both. From another perspective, it's not a derogatory term. Chirping, they entered the villa. Is Chen Shen defensive? Maybe, subconsciously, he doesn't want to get too close to Xiaoqing I. His background is complicated and it will be very tiring. It was more about the rhythm, and I just didn't want to follow Xiaoqing I's rhythm. In the morning, the two of them were still respectful to each other. After buying groceries, Xiaoqing I could sit next to Chen Shen without any worries. Chen Shen pushed her to the other side of the sofa like a chicken. Xiaoqing I lay down, her head close to Chen Shen. I'm a little curious, how did you terminate your contract with Black Gold? Or, why did they let you out? What's there to be curious about? Don't be afraid, these won't be broadcast. I've been on a lot of variety shows, and I often talk nonsense. Now this circle is not as tense as before. Sometimes mistakes are also a kind of personality. Xiaoqing I's head rested on Chen Shen's thigh, looking at the ceiling, chatting casually. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I'm just being paid to be on a dating show, why do you choose me? Author, Qingzhou Se. Chapter 59. At some point, the chirping sound stopped, and Xiaoqing I fell asleep. Chen Shen turned on the computer and started typing. This time, after sleeping for 7 or 8 minutes at most, Xiaoqing stood up suddenly. What time is it? It's still early, 10 past 2. Xiaoqing I lay down again, maybe because he felt uncomfortable, so he pulled a pillow and put it under his head, still next to Chen Shen. The late autumn sun was already tilted at an angle, and in the afternoon, it penetrated into the living room. Xiaoqing was fascinated by the tilted beam of light. The two of them were like this, one sitting and the other lying down, neither speaking. The sound of typing on the keyboard fell into Xiaoqing's ears like a soft lullaby. Without the sleepiness, it becomes a kind of enjoyment. Xiaoqing I felt that Chen Shen was an excellent leading actor. It's not just how handsome he is or what a good character he is, he also has these two things. But it's different, completely different from myself. A circle, a show, the same mission, two completely different people. How old are you to learn how to judge people? Xiaoqing smiled inexplicably. When looking at people, one must analyze them through details, and then combine them with the experience of getting along with them. You may not necessarily become friends with Chen Shen, but that doesn't stop you from admiring him. After lying like this for about half an hour, Xiaoqing Ai got up and quietly went upstairs without disturbing Chen Shen, who was wearing headphones. It was almost 4 o'clock when Xiaoqing Ai went downstairs. She changed her clothes back into a white t-shirt and a plaid skirt. The exquisite and clear beauty is back. Chen Shen looked at Xiaoqing Ai and said, "The set just now was pretty good looking." Xiaoqing snorted, "I don't understand the style." Chen Shen took off his headphones and put on the computer. "When I came out of Heijin, I had a quarrel with several leaders, including the boss of Heijin." Xiaoqing Ai didn't understand this sentence at first, and it took him a while to understand what Chen Shen meant. "I asked before, but I didn't say anything because I felt there was no need to say this. Now, do you want to say that leaving black gold is a conscious and active choice, and that there are passive restraint methods that can compete with black gold? To overturn my own conclusion about him? That's the phrase, how old are you? You should learn to read people like others." Why did Xiaoqing Ai change his clothes back? It is based on the understanding of Chen Shen that it reduces some difficulties for Chen Shen. Neither of them went to work. After spending one day together, Xiaoqing changed her clothes. Why? Why do you still need to change clothes? What do others think? Chen Shen said that the trick just now was very good looking, but in fact he was also saying that he had noticed these little tricks a long time ago and accepted them. Xiaoqing changed her clothes back to give Chen Shen a hand and didn't want to put pressure on him. Chen Shen retorted. Xiaoqing naturally felt that Chen Shen didn't understand the style. "I changed all my clothes back for you, and you still said the outfit just now looked good." At this time, Chen Shen answered the question of leaving Heijin. "It's telling Xiaoqing Ai that you don't need to hold back." Xiaoqing frowned nicely, turned around and went upstairs. A few minutes later, Xiaoqing Ai appeared again and changed again. The white t-shirt remained unchanged, but her lower body turned into black stockings. The proportions are good, the legs are long, and the black stockings look good. The texture of the stockings contrasts with the skin, forming another color that makes people unable to take their eyes away. 1 2 3. Chen Shen came to his senses. "What are you counting for?" Xiaoqing Ai said provocatively, "Look at you for a few seconds before looking away." In the kitchen, the stupid bird flies first. Xiaoqing, who was wearing a small apron, began to sort out the ingredients. After being restrained by the apron, the curves become more flexible. 1 2 3. Xiaoqing Ai started counting again. Ahem. Chen Shen looked away. "Doesn't it look good?" Xiaoqing Ai blinked at Chen Shen. Chen Shen looked at the large bags of ingredients in front of him. "I'm afraid you'll be cold. Although there is sunshine outside, the indoor temperature is only 16 or 17 degrees. Xiaoqing leaned over and whispered, "There is another layer inside." Chen Shen instinctively pushed her away like a chicken. Xiaoqing noticed that Chen Shen's face seemed to be turning red, and he laughed out loud. "I did underestimate you, but you don't understand the advantages of girls." Chen Shen smiled. This kind of scene is really rare. Why should he wrong himself? Just watch it. Let's prepare the vegetables first. You wash the vegetables, and I'll prepare the ribs and pork belly. If you want help, you have to listen to me. At 5 o'clock, there was a noise outside. After a while, Fang also appeared in the restaurant, carrying several bags. "Hey, you two are making food," Fang Ye said in surprise as soon as he came in. "Good afternoon, brother Ye, I saw that I got off work early," Chen Shen said with a smile. Fang also nodded and raised what he was holding in Xia King Ai's direction. I brought food back. Xia King Ai, I'll rest with him, but I can't let you come back to cook. What's the matter? I'm not getting off work. What are you going to cook? Chen Shen replied, ask the chef. Xia Qing glanced at Fang Ye. I was boiling water, and the cook said he wanted to eat sweet and sour pork ribs and braised pork. Chen Shen smiled, okay. In order to prevent himself from leaving the kitchen, he even dared to give Fang Ye eye drops himself. He really didn't hold back. It seems that Xia King Ai didn't just want to create a gap between himself and Su Yuan and the others. Fang Ye looked at Chen Shen in confusion, as if to say, didn't I ask you to order takeout? Why is it even more difficult? The chef is very nice. He knows that I don't like spicy food very much, and he even prepared to make fish into pickled fish. Chen Shen continued. Fang Ye looked at Xia King Ai again, did you buy fish? Xia Qing nodded and said, I want to eat fish. Fang Ye's eyes wandered back and forth between the two of them. He felt that something was wrong, but he didn't know what was wrong. Fang Ye had no choice but to walk to Chen Shen, let me do it. Mian didn't let you do it, and we can't let you do it either. Although they are good brothers, Fang also unconsciously began to assert his sovereignty because he had his goddess next to him. Chen Shen looked at Xia King Ai, chef, then I'll go to rest. Xia King Ai looked over, brother Ye, what did you bring? Bring it here for me to see. Fang Ye immediately walked towards Xia King Ai with the bag. There are pancakes and braised meat. They are delicious. I drove for an extra 20 minutes to buy them. It's just right to add a dish to dinner. As he spoke, Fang Ye walked to Xia King Ai's side. He saw the stockings Xia King Ai was wearing, but immediately looked away, as if he didn't see them. Xia King Ai nodded, it looks really appetizing. You can put it on the dining table first. Chen Shen said he wanted to learn how to cook. Let him prepare it. We are slow. If they come back, they can eat something first. Fang Ye seemed to react when she walked to the dining table with the bag, and then looked back at Chen Shen several times. Chen Shen shrugged. Fang Ye couldn't taste many things. Xia King Ai had a good grasp of Fang Ye's personality, so she dared to do this. She was indeed ambitious in her career and wanted to make a comprehensive turnaround. Only this kind of reversal, a comprehensive change in the relationship between oneself and everyone, could suppress oneself in the content of the shot. I'm just being paid to be on a dating show, why do you choose me? Author, Qingzhou Se. Chapter 60. Fang Ye also found that this position at the dining table didn't seem so comfortable to sit at. Why did Chen Shen sit so steadily before? No matter who was cooking there, he was as steady as a rock. You guys are back so early, Zhong Wenbei appeared at the door of the restaurant. Fang Ye hummed, not wanting to talk. After a simple greeting, Zhong Wenbei was stunned. Why did he come back so early? Because he said he would cook dinner when he helped Su Yuan and Su Mo yesterday. It's been a few days, and you can't cook a dinner? This opportunity to be alone with the female guests is not given to me. But what the hell are Chen Shen and Xia King Ai? Why are they in the kitchen? Zhong Wenbei took a step and looked back every 3 steps and sat next to Fang Ye. He was a little confused. Xia King Ai couldn't care about others at this time. If she wanted to make braised pork, she had to cut the meat into small square pieces and concentrate. Fang Ye stood up, let me do it. Xia Qing didn't even raise her head, I'll do it myself. Fang Ye had to sit back. After Chen Shen washed the vegetables, he looked at Xia King Ai, what's next? Xia King Ai looked over, onions, ginger, garlic, and potatoes. The potatoes need to be peeled. Chen Shen said. After finding the potatoes in the pile of bags, Chen Shen asked again, how do you peel the potatoes? Just use a knife. Xia King Ai glared, there is a special knife for peeling. Look for it. Chen Shen looked left and right, I can't find it. Xia King Ai, you are so annoying. Chen Shen retorted, you are annoying. At the dining table, Fang Ye stood up again, let me do it. Chen Shen can't do these things. Xia King Ai shook her head, he is not a child. Let him do it himself. Fang Ye sat back again. This is not a matter for children, but for adults. These jobs are painful for some people. However, these jobs are happiness for others. A few seconds later, Chen Shen handed a knife to Xia King Ai, is this it? This is a fruit knife. Oh, is that this one? This is a knife for Western cuisine, for cutting steaks, brother. Oh, what about this one? Forget it, I'll find it for you. Fang Ye stood up again, but didn't say anything, and walked out with his head down. Xia King Ai saw it, but didn't say anything. Chen Shen also saw it, but didn't say anything either. This class will probably be a memorable one for Fang Ye. After the dishes were prepared, Chen Shen and Xia King Ai left the kitchen separately. It was only 5:30, and it was still early. If someone didn't come back now, the dishes would get cold. Chen Shen still sat in the living room and picked up his computer. Xia King Ai went to the backyard, and Fang Ye was on the glass plank road. The wind in late autumn seemed colder than in winter. The large golf course below was green and full of vitality. The scene just now kept flashing in Fang Ye's mind. If it was just a good brother and Xia King Ai getting along simply, it wouldn't be so uncomfortable. It was the state of the two getting along that hurt his heart a little. She was his goddess, not to mention being angry with her, he was always careful when talking to her. But Chen Shen was so casual with her. The key point was that Xia King Ai was not angry. Of course, there was nothing to be angry about, but Fang was also envious of this kind of communication. I'm so tired, a familiar and pleasant voice came. Fang also turned his head to look over, and Xia King Ai came over and stood next to him. Her hair fluttered in the wind, and she looked really good from the side. Are you tired? Don't you have a kitchen helper? Fang didn't answer. Xia King Ai sighed faintly and was about to step back. Fang Ye immediately turned around and looked at Xia King Ai, what's wrong? Are you tired? Xia King Ai pouted, nothing, I just cooked 2 meals and went to the supermarket to buy vegetables. I'm a little tired. You know, I cook by memory. Fang Ye immediately came over, I told you to order takeout, why do you still have to cook? Xia King Ai took 2 steps back and made a zizi holding her heart gesture. No, I don't mean to blame you. Since you are all resting, just rest well. I got off work so early because I wanted to come back early to make delicious food for you. Xia King Ai said softly, the voice is too loud, it sounds like a quarrel. Fang Ye's eyes immediately softened, and the subtext of the sentence instantly shattered the grievance in Fang Ye's heart. Sorry, it's my problem. Xia Qing smiled and said, it's okay. I knew from the beginning that you, brother Ye, are not the kind of person with a small mind. You can tolerate girls at first glance. There must be a lot of girls who like you. Fang Ye scratched his head and laughed, it's okay, there are not many, no, really. In the restaurant, Zhou Gaikan came back at some point. The moment Zhou Wenbei saw Zhou Gaikan, he was extremely excited and pulled Zhou Gaikan to sit down, Brother Ken, I found something incredible. Zhou Gaikan looked puzzled, what's the matter? So exaggerated. Zhou Wenbei lowered his voice and frowned, Brother Shen and King Ai are not simple. Zhou Gaikan stared, and before he could express his surprise, Zhou Wenbei said again, King Ai and Brother Ye probably quarreled, and Brother Shen may want to steal his love. Zhou Gaikan pushed Zhou Wenbei, you are writing a novel here. Outrageous. Zhou Wenbei lowered his voice and glared, Really? Can I lie to you? Didn't you say that brother Shen can't cook? He never goes into the kitchen. But today, he went in and cooked dinner with King Ai, and they were flirting. Speaking of this, Zhong Wenbei gestured, I was sitting here at the time, and brother Ye was sitting in your seat. I saw it clearly. Brother Ye's face turned pale and blue, and he couldn't speak. He wanted to help several times, but was stopped by King Ai. However, King Ai was talking and laughing with brother Shen in the kitchen. Zhou Gaikan frowned, are you telling the truth? Zhong Wenbei nodded fiercely, absolutely true. Zhou Gaikan then took a breath of cold air, bastard, it's not enough to hang on to me and Yun, and you come to provoke our goddess again? At this moment, Xia King Ai and Fang also walked in. Zhong Wenbei hurriedly pulled Zhou Gaikan's arm, indicating that Zhou Gaikan should control his expression. Zhou Gaikan looked over. Hey, Aken is back, let's eat. There are cakes and braised meat on the table, which are delicious, Fang Ye said with a smile on his face. Zhou Gaikan looked at Zhong Wenbei, why is he so happy? Zhong Wenbei's brows were wrinkled like a rag, yes, why is he so happy? Seeing that Zhou Gaikan ignored him, Fang Ye said to Xia King Ai beside him, King Ai, try it, this is my favorite restaurant. Xia Qing nodded and walked over, it's cold, I'll heat it up for you. Fang Ye stepped forward and was about to help, but was stopped by Zhong Wenbei. After Xia King Ai took some takeaway boxes to the kitchen, Zhong Wenbei whispered, Brother Ye, are you okay? Fang Ye was confused, what can happen to me? You and King Ai are not. Fang Ye glared and interrupted, are you sick? Can't you hope that others will get better? We are fine, don't spread rumors. Halfway through the conversation, Fang Ye noticed Zhou Gaikan, who was listening attentively, and then moved closer to Zhong Wenbei and whispered, Xiaobai, don't listen to Aken. Aken has nothing to do every day. He just likes to joke and talk nonsense. The public relations in the entertainment industry, gossip news is spread from them, you should have some self-subjective judgment. Zhou Gaikan, I.